Delighted to say that we've been joined by Machel Hewitt, the Caribbean Cricket podcast man himself. Welcome along.
A pleasure to be here, and eager to see how this match continues to develop.
So you operate that podcast. How long have you been doing that for?
It's coming up to 3 years now. West Indies cricket, the men's team, the women's team, the boys' team, the girls' team, everything in between, and those behind the scenes, administrators, etc. And just bringing West Indies cricket back to the people, so to speak.
Well fielded. Kyle Mayer's doing really well there, diving across the pitch.
So what do you make of the game so far? Who's in control right now?
Well, at the moment, it's fairly even-handed, you would say. The Netherlands are going quite nicely, but we have seen in the past they flatter to deceive with the bat. Worked into the onside by Vikramjit Singh. They'll just get the one. In terms of the West Indies, were you surprised today, Machel, with the changes that they made?
Obviously, we've got the issues with Rothman Powell and Romario Shepherd are still in London, waiting to go to Pakistan due to visa issues. But they've got to give players a game. Jaden Seals has to play before going to Pakistan. Shaman Lewis has been carried. He's got to get a game as well. But points are on the line, so it's a difficult decision to make.
Yeah, you're right about the points, because I spoke to a couple of people in the Caribbean before the series, and they were basically saying to me, look, all matches now, after the Ireland defeat at the beginning of the year, all matches are basically must win. But look at the change there. The West Indies have jumped into the top 8, and in fact, if they win again today, they'll actually go third.
Every victory matters, including today.
Slight misfield at short fine leg. It'll just cost the single, though. It's quite tight, isn't it, that?
As you allude to, West Indies actually can't afford to really drop maybe 1 or 2 matches, but I mean it's going to be a hard task for them to go to Pakistan and win many games. Then New Zealand come to the Caribbean later in the summer, so that's 6 games. How many can they afford to lose? 1, 2?
Yes, it's been something that I've been wondering, what the number of points to ensure that you finish in the top 8 is. It's still very much an open question, because obviously all teams are playing different numbers of matches at the moment. Teams can beat each other as well, of course. And look for 2 again here, and good running from Max O'Dowd. They'll come back for that second. The end of the over, 16 gone. It's 96 without loss. Fixtures so far, or the results so far, and the fixtures to come.
Yeah, I think if you look through those results of the West Indies so far, you can't write off the Bangladesh defeat, but that was the one where many of the West Indian players didn't travel. Sri Lanka was a good victory. Australia, you'd take 1 win from 3 games against Australia, but yeah, the Ireland series is the big disappointment there, and then once they've lost those 2 games, they're really up against it now to try and qualify. And to be honest, for the Netherlands, it's good to see them play against West Indies and get a look ahead in case they meet again in the qualifiers.
It's a good point you make, actually. Yes, the bottom 5 sides in those 13 that are in the World Cup Super League, they'll go into the qualifier. Desperate to get out there himself, you saw. I suppose one of the issues that West Indies cricket has is just consistency of selection at the moment, isn't it?
Yeah, I was in amongst the crowd at different points today, and that was a key topic amongst the West Indian fan base. We never seem to have a set team. We don't have a core that we can build around. Even this series, Shimron Hetmeyer's not here, Evan Lewis isn't here, Jason Holder's not here. That hurts any side.
Any concern about Nicholas Puran having a quiet series?
I mean, if you speak to Nicholas Puran, I think this is his first series as official captain of the West Indies. I think he'll take the victories over his form, but West Indies need Nicholas Puran firing if they're really going to pull off more victories.
Of course, a lot of cricket on the horizon with the T20 World Cup to come in Australia in October and November.
Yeah, of course, it's a packed schedule. The West Indies have announced their summer schedule. There's no breathing space. The scourge of the modern cricketer. And then, of course, as well as those three names I've mentioned, there'll be the off-darts questions about Andre Russell and Sunil Narayan. Dare I mention their names?
Tidy over that from Akil Hossain, just 2 runs from it. 17 overs have gone, and that will be drinks with the Netherlands 8 without loss.
No run.
Kyle Mayers, what an effective cricketer he is.
Yeah, it doesn't. There's no pace, but he's your kind of classical swing bowler who just a bit of nibble. Just a tiny bit. You saw against England in the Test series. What was it? 5 for 9?
7 for 31 in the match. Quite astonishing.
No.
Correction, 5 for 18.
Yeah, 5 for 18 and 2 for 13. That's his Test career. And bowling. Who can forget, of course, his 210 not out on debut at Chattogram. They're just starting to get some sort of nucleus together for the World Cup, or indeed the World Cup qualifier. He's got a lot of potential, Mayers, hasn't he?
Yeah, they've got to. Mayers should be a West Indies all-format player. You'd expect to. Obviously, he's already in the Test setup. We've just kind of put him into the T20 setup as well. The question they've got with Mayers is there's so many talented all-rounders in the West Indies team. Where do you fit him in? Today he opened.
Yep.
Musa works that off his hip. He'll look for a second. He's not going to get it. It's the end of the over. Musa off the mark then. 18 gone. 99 for Brandon King. He really has made an impact in this series. 2 fantastic innings in precious.
And it'll be really interesting to see what Brandon King says about his contribution this series for Jamaica, his regional side. He's used to batting in the middle order.
First time out today, actually, after 2 very important unbeaten efforts. How is he viewed, Brandon King?
So that's a more detailed question than you realise. But I think generally speaking, Brandon has found his way into the West Indian side as an opener, but most keen students of the West Indies game would be surprised that's where he found himself. That was due to his form in CPL in 2019, but Brandon would tell you he's a middle order batsman. But fundamentally, and not too dissimilar, I would say, for the Netherlands side as well, when you get your opportunity in an international side, wherever they put you, take the opportunity and make it difficult for those who are on the outside to get their way back into the side. So Brandon's cashed in now, and your Evan Lewis's, your Shimron Hetmeyers, etc. now need to prove that they belong back in the side.
Yes, you mentioned that CPL form in 2019, 496 runs, a century against Barbados in just 72 balls, 132 not out, 3 half centuries, tournament top run scorer, 105 for 1. Mayers again from the city end. So the team from here go to Multan. It was originally going to be Rawalpindi, but that's been reorganised.
Yeah, there's no break for the West Indian team. I believe they fly tomorrow straight to Pakistan, 3 ODIs, and then Bangladesh have already flown to the Caribbean for the Test series. So as soon as that ODI series is done with Pakistan, they fly back to the Caribbean because the Test series starts 3 days after that.
And of course, CPL at the end of August, let's not forget that. I think there's a one-day series against India as well, thrown in the mix, and that's all before the New Zealand games, I think. Or is it New Zealand games at the beginning of August, I think, aren't they?
So the order, after Bangladesh, you've then got the India series.
Oh, hesitation. Oh, and a direct hit on the stumps rather than Musa Ahmed. Might have proved costly for the Netherlands as it is. I think he's just taken that ball on the hand. Yes, I think that might have been a very important contribution from that glove. Puran just stretching after he sent that throw in. Let's hope he's okay. For O'Dowd. Yeah, so what was that order again?
Yeah, so after Bangladesh, you've got the India series, ODIs and T20s, followed by New Zealand, followed by CPL, followed by the World Cup, followed by going to Australia. So there is no breathing space.
It's down the leg side. But as we've mentioned already, there's a considerable changeover between the Test lineup and the limited overs, the white ball lineup, isn't there?
Yeah, the West Indies don't have that many multi-format players. Jason Holder is really the only one, and that's why he's not here, because they have to rest him, because otherwise he'd play everything.
What was the feeling there in the Caribbean about the fact that Jason Holder had played the whole rest? Is that just everyone holding their hands up and saying, well, that's the financial reality of the situation?
A bit of finances, but also I think Jason himself has intimated that for him to look after his body, he has to be rested. And with respect to the Netherlands, if you're going to rest Jason Holder, they've prioritised the Test series versus Bangladesh for Jason Holder, so he will take a break from this Netherlands series and the forthcoming Pakistan series so that he's ready and healthy for the Bangladesh Test series.
Fine legs up in the circle, but deep backward square leg is just behind Brandon King. So the batsman can take just a single. End of the over, 20 gone, 109 for 1. Reorganised.
Yeah, there's no break for the West Indian team. I believe they fly tomorrow straight to Pakistan, 3 ODIs, and then Bangladesh have already flown to the Caribbean for the Test series. So as soon as that ODI series is done with Pakistan, they fly back to the Caribbean because the Test series starts 3 days after that.
And of course, CPL at the end of August. Let's not forget that. I think there's a one-day series against India as well thrown in the mix, and that's all before the New Zealand games, I think. Or is it New Zealand games at the beginning of August, I think, aren't they?
So the order after Bangladesh, you've then got the India series.
Oh, hesitation. Oh, and a direct hit on the stumps rather than Musa Ahmed. Might have proved costly for the Netherlands as it is. I think he's just taken that ball on the hand. Yes, I think that might have been a very important contribution from that glove. Puran just stretching after he sent that throw in. Let's hope he's okay. For O'Dowd. Yeah, so what was that order again?
Yeah, so after Bangladesh, you've got the India series, ODIs and T20s, followed by New Zealand, followed by CPL, followed by the World Cup, followed by going to Australia. So there is no breathing space.
It's down the leg side. But as we've mentioned already, there's a considerable changeover between the test lineup and the limited overs, the white ball lineup, isn't there?
Yeah, the West Indies don't have that many multi-format players. Jason Holder is really the only one, and that's why he's not here, because they have to rest him, because otherwise he'd play everything.
What was the feeling there in the Caribbean about the fact that Jason Holder had played the whole rest? Is that just everyone holding their hands up and saying, well, that's the financial reality of the situation?
A bit of finances, but also I think Jason himself has intimated that for him to look after his body, he has to be rested. And with respect to the Netherlands, if you're going to rest Jason Holder, they've prioritised the Test series versus Bangladesh for Jason Holder, so he will take a break from this Netherlands series and the forthcoming Pakistan series, so that he's ready and healthy for the Bangladesh Test series.
Fine legs up in the circle, but deep backward square leg is just behind Brandon King. So the batsman can take just a single. End of the over, 20 gone, 109 for 1. So among Caribbean cricket fans at the moment, what's the mood, what's the vibe, what's the feeling about the team?
I think in terms of the limited over side, this is almost seen as a new era now. With Kieron Pollard having retired, it's about what Nicholas Puran can do as a captain. But with Puran as well, I think, again, Nicholas would agree with this. He was essentially Kieron Pollard's understudy for the best part of a year, so he's been prepped, he's been primed, and he should be ready for this role.
Positivity, though? There seems to be a lot of talent out there.
Well, you've kind of got to go back to the T20 World Cup, where the West Indies essentially bombed out. The fans wanted a younger side. They wanted a younger side, and they felt that the West Indies had gambled on taking your Chris Gales, your Andre Russells, your DJ Bravos, etc. And there were some names who didn't get into that World Cup squad that fans wanted to see. So that's why I say this team now that you see out there, it's kind of seen as a young new era side.
So it sounds as though there is some positivity around West Indies cricket with these young players coming in, or perhaps in some cases not young players but inexperienced players.
Yeah, and I'm glad you've corrected me, because even as I said it, I meant to say, because if you look at their ages, Akil Hussein's 29, Carl Mayers is 29, Shea Hope's 28 now. I mean, inexperienced. They're not household name players.
And a really good father figure, or a couple of father figures, in Raul Lewis, the team manager, and also Phil Simmons.
Every single player has something positive to say about Phil Simmons. It's not just about Phil's man management skills. Phil's an excellent coach, You speak to those in the world game, and they'll all tell you that about Phil Simmons. So he's the right man to guide this team.
Yes, off to Multan after this. Was originally going to be Rawalpindi for those 3 one-day internationals against Pakistan, but the Pakistan Cricket Board just shifting the venue because of ongoing political machinations within the country. You off to Pakistan?
No, I don't think I'll be going to Pakistan, but Nicholas Puran said it was too cold in the Netherlands. I can assure him that Pakistan will be quite warm.
Yeah. On a number of occasions it'll be a little bit warmer than this, and there won't be quite that chilly breeze there. It's been a good exercise this for West Indies, though, ahead of those matches, but they'll face a completely different challenge over there. Some top-class quick bowling to start with.
Yeah, I mean, it's a personal opinion. I'm not sure it gets any better than Shaheen Shah Afridi at this moment in time. So, I mean, there's been some good bowling on show by De Leyder and Van Beek, but he's another level.
Slashed away square by Musa Ahmed. That's his first boundary. It's interesting, Akil Hussain just can't quite find his rhythm to the same extent that he did in matches 1 and 2. He was given the opportunity to bowl with the new ball today, which he hadn't been in those first 2 games.
Yeah, that was an interesting decision, and possibly one that was born of the fact that playing, and obviously Anderson Phillip isn't playing, maybe not the confidence in Lewis.
A little yes, no, excuse me. And again, Musa Ahmed finding himself between the ball and the stumps. And Kruma Bono with the throw. It's landing awkwardly on that AstroTurf pitch on the edge of the square. There's Casey Carty and a few San Martin supporters here as well. Of course, Casey Carty could actually have played for the Netherlands.
Yeah, I was actually fortunate enough to interview him after the second ODI, and I put that question to him. I said, had he ever considered representing the Netherlands whilst waiting for a West Indies call-up? But he informed me that as he did not do school in the Netherlands, that was never an option anyway, to make history in representing the West Indies.
How big a deal is it for St Martin that they've now got a representative at senior West Indies level?
I was doing some research yesterday, and actually I did pick up some newspaper headlines where the elected leader of the country had kind of done a big, and rightly so, kind of song and dance about what a great moment this is for the country.
Of course, he has played at under-19 level and played in that World Cup final, the victory in Bangladesh, didn't he?
Yeah, and that's why Casey's selection now is also so important, because he was one of those players, other than Shimron Hetmyer in 2016, that we expected big things from.
End of the over, 23 gone, 121 for 1. There is Casey Carty, and what an important contribution he made in the second one-day international. Remember, the West Indies were 99 for 5, and then he came in and with Brandon King saw them across the line. It was comfortable in the end, but it certainly wasn't comfortable when he got to the wicket.
Most definitely, it was an innings full of maturity. The phrase I like to use, is that he took the drama out of the situation. Just played each ball on its merit, waited until he was actually tried to play not shots, cricket shots. They weren't outrageous shots. He wasn't trying to reinvent the wheel, so to speak. And he knew Brandon King was in. So it's for your obviously the international debut was the first ODI, but his batting international debut was a mature innings.
Hayden Walsh Jr. into the attack, the 6th bowler used.
Yes.
With his mix of leg breaks and googlies. And this is the problem for the Netherlands. They've really stalled in the face of spin in the first 2 matches. He actually got Max O'Dowd out in game 1. Dowd just looking to push a ball a little bit too square on the onside. Bowled all over the place. Max O'Dowd dismissed on Tuesday. Frustration for him, you could see his reaction. Leading edge, and the gap's been found between backward point and short third man. 2 runs, but rather inadvertent for Musa Ahmed.
I think Hayden Walsh is very much a confidence bowler, and he's feeling, again, spoke to him after the second ODI, he's feeling good in himself. And when Hayden feels good with his bowling, you tend to see him able to pull off over after over of confusion for the batters.
A little bit of movement behind the bowler's arm, I think, there, or possibly Musa wasn't ready. He's a real athlete, real asset to the side in the field because of that, the energy that he brings.
Yeah, if you watch the West Indies fielding drills before games, Hayden Walsh fields he fields in the drills as if the game's currently going on, and we say that that's what you should be doing, but he sets the standard, certainly.
Miscued pull shot from Musa, but that might help him because it's got the ball away from the field. Well done by Shimron Lewis, flicking the ball back, and they'll take 2. The end of the over, 24 gone. Thanks very much to Machel for joining us, and it's 125 for 1.